Yo, what's up, man? I know, anytime I'm switching between Photoshop and Procreate, there are always little holdovers where I'm like, ah, damn it. Why do I keep doing that? And hey, R Frosty, thank you. Thank you. Let me know if the sound levels are okay with everything. I'm trying to get back into the mindset on this one and trying to figure out what it is I want to do next. I think I might. I wonder if I can. Okay, cool. I think I might do a little bit of opaque painting. Alright, here's what we'll do. Here is what we'll do. Alright, let's work on this stuff. Get this stuff going. I'm gonna turn that drawing guide up a little bit so I can, just because I want that center line, right? It's the only reason I have it. Alexander Mull, Shadow Walk, what's up? Thanks, Alexander. Howdy, Dazzle Pants. How are you doing? I think we're gonna work on this stuff, which I don't know exactly. What I want it to be. So let's just figure out where all the layers are. Whoops, for it. One thing with Procreate is like you can have your color palette open if you want, which is awesome. But I would love it if you could have your layer palette open. I would love that, but you can't. Oh well. I just want to clean up some, like get rid of some of these lines and finesse this shape a little bit. Since we know what we're working on, we don't need the placeholder stuff in there for now, right? Because it almost looks like it's a big like shirt collar, like a turtleneck kind of a thing, and I don't want that. So that's why whoa, let's make sure we're on the right color. How about that? I want something that's a little lighter, thinner, kind of. Because this, the pendant down there is going to be kind of bulky and like stone. Because I know I was saying she's a water elemental, but I'm going to go with water and earth. because then I want to do a companion piece at some point that will be air and fire, rather than doing 4 of them. I don't have the fortitude for that right now. So I'm wondering if we can. Will this fuck with anything? No, it won't. Sweet. I love it when I can get all my layers. Whoa, who's raiding? Quick raid. Shane, what's up, brother? How you doing, man? Thanks for the raid. Hello, everybody. Welcome, raiders. Adventure indeed. For anyone that's new here, my name is Daniel Landerman. I am an illustrator and sketch artist in advertising. By day, by night, I do whatever pops into my head. Whatever else pops into my head. Illustration stuff. Usually a little more narrative. Today we're actually going a little more conceptual with this piece. But I do tend to go rather narrative. We can look real quick. We can look at some prints here, right? Narrative, giant cat dragons, winged creatures of some kind. We've got cyber elves here, right? Got our cyber elves. Good times, good times. I don't know what all I can show. I'm sure there's some fantasy stuff we can show, right? Narrative. Shane, how you doing, man? How was your stream? How was your stream? Paradox, what's up, dude? An incredible hunk. Hello. So, anyway, that's some of the stuff that I like to do. One of these days, I might actually finish this piece. It needs some lighting love, which I thought I had in there, but apparently not. That's okay. Anyway, back to it. Back to it. What did you talk about today? Oh, cool. I actually don't know too much about the ancient, like, Armenian history. Turn those off. Alright, well, we were gonna get into the necklaces and whatnot. Let's do that. Let's do that. Alright. If anyone doesn't follow Shane, you should follow Shane. Even though I think most of the people viewing came from your stream, but He does awesome. He covers historical content, which is super rad. Fun to listen to. And then some maybe not strictly historical stuff. Shane, I loved your History of Middle Earth talks. I think I was kind of doing stuff, but I was lurking and listening. Super fun. Alright. Colors. I did not think through on the colors. But that's okay. Oh, cool. Oh, no, dude. Don't even worry about it. Advertise all you want. I know you don't have, like, art to, you know, to link and share, so... Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Do it. Choco Bear 1, thanks for the follow. I'm trying to decide how, like, I think I'm gonna keep even the earth tones a little on the cooler side. You know what we're gonna do? Cut and paste that above, because I want to be able to paint behind the mask without worrying about it, right? Like, I want to be able to have this stuff. Paradox, I don't think... well, I think you can change the brush mode, but I don't know exactly where. But I know that there is blending. No. Like, you see it here, multiply. Oh, probably because the blend mode is normal. So I'm assuming, yeah, it looks like you probably can. We can test that out real quick, right? Well, that doesn't look like it's doing it, so... But I'm sure somewhere you can. I just haven't really messed with that. So I don't know. I'm not 100% on that. Blast 87, I don't always go for complimentary. It has more to do in this case with hey Shane, thanks for the raid, brother. I appreciate it. Always a pleasure to have you here. Blast, for me, like in this particular case, it has more to just do with color composition in general. If I want a complementary palette, cool, I'll go that way. But in this case, I kind of want most of the stuff to be sitting on the cool side. So I'm not really like, I haven't gotten into like true yellows and oranges and stuff like that. It's all kind of like, I'm trying to keep the color relative because in the companion piece that I want to do with this, it's gonna be air and fire, right? So I want the fire to, I'll be getting into all kinds of warms over there. Now I may add some warms into this just to tie the two pieces together, but we'll see. For now, I'm kind of more just thinking like how I want the earth tones to feel, and while I want them to read as earth tones, I don't necessarily want to go like super warm with those earth tones, right? So I'm keeping on the cooler end of even the warm tones, right? So we're over here on a cooler red. Granted, I have some color dynamics on the brush, so you know it'll, but only by maybe like a 3% hue shift or something. So but we'll see, because I'm debating, like, might do more of like a metallic choker kind of a thing here, maybe. Which could be kind of fun. I just don't know what kind of metal yet I might want. But chances are we'll still stick with the kind of cool. If I do go with metal, I'll probably go more towards silver rather than like gold or something. Yeah, anytime. We like art questions here. No. So I have this sort of, this is kind of a random shape here, but I was thinking about it the other day, and I do want this to be, where are you at? There's my brush. I want it to be stone, right, to kind of allude to the earth aspect, and so I figured, you know, let's go with something that feels more like either a leaf or maybe stacked leaves or something like that, you know, but like carved out of stone. Granted, the other one is sort of like a stylized lotus shape, so that could still work for earth, but you know, whatever. Whatevs. I don't know why I'm being so careful on this, because I do want it actually more stacked. Maybe I'd do oak leaves. That'd be kind of cool. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Kind of just making this shit up as we go, so. Alright. Switching brushes here, because I just want something that I can draw with. Hey, thanks, Shadow Walk. Most of the time, honestly, I'm just like totally just making shit up as I go, and then like I'll work out the details, you know. But I oftentimes with the jewelry, I'll just sort of start with like scribbling around and seeing what sorts of shapes, you know, I want silhouette wise, and then I kind of figure it out from there. It's a little transparent. So let's all right. Do I want to go with that kind? I still kind of like the sort of lotus looking thing. I can always put some details inside it, right? If I want it to have more going on. All right, let's make sure this is a little centered here. Sometimes it's easier to carve out details, so like just going back in with the eraser, you know, there's no sense having to be like super precise all the time with just a brush. Let's see here. How do I want to attach it. Maybe with a I do like a big ring. That would fit. So my idea, maybe we'll start cooling that off a little bit too. So my idea is maybe we have like, so if this is gonna go silver, right, this ring can go into some kind of a loop. Maybe we'll kind of mirror that shape. Couple of rivets there. Oh, some kind of stones here. On some rings. That really got off center, didn't it? Liquefy, where are you? I should pay attention to my center lines when I, put them in there. They're there for a reason. A little closer. And then with this, of course, we can get into similar like designs like we did on the face, kind of etched into the metal. I might bring in some more. Actually, if we have the rivets there, I might put like a stone here. Maybe a few stones. I wanted one of these at least to be either a twisted or braided kind of leather thing. Or they could both be. Like it could be something that wraps around multiple times, right? Probably have yet another stone. I feel like I should probably keep a lot of them like the same shape. I don't want it to get too kind of complicated, Man, I don't know what kind of trying to think of what kind of carving stuff I might want in here. But, you know, nice thing is we don't have to like hold ourselves to anything we come up with. Can always change it. I mean, you know, that's not always the best way to go about things. It is better to just think through the problems, but whatever. I knew I'd be kind of painting around a bit, so yeah, I think I might just keep this to like maybe some beads on there. Having a stone hang down like here just feels too, I don't like it. I don't like it. Not a fan. And even the stones there, maybe? Let's see. Let's see. Like I was considering something that would be maybe symbolic of like, you know, water, like a whirlpool or something, but I don't know if I want that. And so normally I would just go kind of abstract and just carve shapes in, but this is going to be large enough in the piece that I feel like I should have a clearer idea of what I might want to do, or what the carving is. You know, like I should. I might have to look for like some stone jewelry or something. You know. If I can find there it is. And see if there's anything that comes to mind. But I also feel like maybe I should look more specifically at like some cultural stuff. Because yeah, all I'm getting is like really hippie looking shit. And that's not what I want. This one's cool, but it has a little Ganesh carved into the center, and I'm not trying to do that either. We could go with something that's a little more mandala looking, not in a hippie way, but like, you know, actual. All right, let's think about something like that. I don't mind getting like crescent moon shape in here. And like we can go really detailed on this carving for sure. Still off center. Damn it. Damn it. I know it probably would have been easier and much quicker if I just slapped on the symmetry thing for this, but you know what? It's not all about speed. Plus, I figure if I don't do that, it'll just have a more hand-carved kind of a look. I hate the symmetry tool. I shouldn't say I hate it. I don't hate it. It absolutely has uses and a purpose. It just, the way that I tend to work and the stuff that I tend to do, I have never once used it in any kind of like a finished way. I've messed around with it to be like, oh hey, what's this like? And then I get really annoyed because I just don't like how it looks when things are perfectly symmetrical. They look wrong to me, especially because so much of what I do is like character based. And so when a person's face is perfectly symmetrical, it actually looks kind of weird. It makes them look really plain for some reason. And so then I end up, having to spend more time just like trying to make them look more interesting. And like, Jesus, this would have been faster if I just drawn it freehand. So that's why I don't use the symmetry tool. Alright. This stuff we're also gonna get some carvings and stuff in here. I'm trying to decide if I want to go. Might as well, keep it. Again, I don't want to have like a ton of different like styles going on in everything, and it just is not pleasant to look at, I don't think, if you have too much happening that just doesn't really tie it all together. So you know, I don't need the carvings to be identical on either side, but at least sort of like taking on the same design language, right? And we can do a bit of that stuff even on the bottom here, on the pendant, right? And let's we're on top of that. Alright. Well, maybe we'll do the earrings on a separate layer then. That's okay. We don't have to get to those right now anyway. Let's render this stuff out a little bit here. Render time, render time. No, hopefully not. Hopefully not. Right? It is always a possibility, though. But it doesn't have to be. Trying to think. There are a couple things bouncing around in my head right now. So one thing we're gonna do here first, let's get a brush we can control the edge of a little more. Right. Do you want to clean up some of this? So this is just for the eraser tool. I just wanted to be able to kind of and then I'll have to go in and you see the little edges around the chin, right? We gotta clean those up. But that's easy enough. That's what our dear smudge tool is great for. Finessing edges. So when we have our kind of cleaner edges, what we can do then is, you know, use like clipping masks and stuff to kind of work a little more quickly. And I can always finesse these a little later too, like if I realize, oh hey, I want to push this out or bring this part in a little more, then you know, with the clipping masks, then I can always go to that original parent layer and tweak those edges. but let's at least get it close so that we can just kind of start going to town on the materials. And because I want these are going to be like, they're going to be jewels, probably like something that's fairly clear, is my guess. But they're round, teardrop sort of shapes. So I don't actually want their edges to be really hard. If you want that kind of, that roll off of the shape, it's good to give them a little bit of a softer edge, right? Thank you, Shadow Walk. We're getting there little by little. This particular part of the process can be a little tedious, but it makes everything else go much faster. So it's worth the temporary tedium in order to kind of make the rest of it less painful. Right, so for this, it's really kind of more about focusing on silhouette than anything else. At least in like this part of the process. This I can actually go darker on. It's essentially just laying in a flat, right? Just a flat shape is basically what we're doing. But my guess is there's a bit more on this layer than just jewelry, right? As we found out. Yeah, there is a bit more. So I don't really know. I mean, the clipping mask, man, unless I really... Fuck it, let's do it. Let's do it. It's all about saving that time, right? Oh, it doesn't look like there's that much. Okay, cool. Cool. That's what I get for not being more particular when I first was separating it. That's what happens. Oh, that sucks. I know some people were having, I saw like on another stream, there were some people having some issues with it. It does get a little finicky from time to time, which is too bad. It's like as I keep going, I keep seeing more and more and more and more stuff. And I'm like, damn it. I just want to start painting this up already. Almost there. We're almost there. That's what I get for starting to paint a bunch of stuff on layers, on different layers before it was really ready to do that. Like, meaning I should have really kept the layers more separate a little while longer. But, oh well, that's okay. It is okay. Right, Paradox? It, sometimes you just want to rush ahead and you just gotta, you know, calm down, chill out a bit. Because, so with a clip, the reason I'm not just rushing ahead, or one of the reasons I should say, that I'm not just rushing ahead is because with a clipping mask, it will also inherit the transparency of the parent layer, right? So I actually need this parent layer to be opaque, right? Which is one of the reasons that I'm really focusing a bit more on silhouette. And, you know, yes, I have some visual notes for, you know, the carving and stuff, but but I don't really need those. That stuff was mostly just like brainstorming, right? Just concepting stuff. I feel like these need and usually what I'll end up doing is I'll do a clipping mask on top, I'll paint it up, and then really to finesse the edges and stuff, because sometimes, you know, you end up with a weird looking edge with the clipping mask, you know, unless you take the time to kind of finesse the hard and soft edges, right? So a lot of times I'll just have a layer on the top where I'll kind of play with that, or we can just sort of start to smudge the edges of the parent layer around a little bit. There are a few ways we can go about it. We'll see. I kind of just see what feels right at the time. But we're almost there. Almost there. I'll probably come up against some other bits as I paint where I realize like, oh hey, that's not as opaque as I thought, but that's okay, because again, we can just paint on the parent layer again and make stuff opaque where we need it to be. So without further ado, clipping mask. Yay! Clipping masks. Alright, first thing I'm gonna do is I want to cool off the silver metal part more. So let's go ahead and we're not gonna go like blue. Go away DSAP blue. And just so I can knock some of the heat out, right, of that, so that at least in comparison to some of the other stuff, it can look a little cooler. And then we're gonna again, the stones are gonna be something fairly clear. So parts of it will go brighter than this, but I just want to knock some of that stuff down. Right. This stuff, I think I'm gonna go a little cooler on it as well. On the big stone. It's not much, but it's a little bit cooler. On that. And the ones on the leather. And then I'll probably have to bring whatever colors I use on that. I will want to bring those into the earrings somewhere. Because I don't want it to just be like, oh, the top is all these blues and purples, and then the bottom has these totally different colors, right? I'm going to want to marry those in some way. So we'll get there. Sariana, what's up, dude? Why did the sub alert not go off? There's the sub alert. Yay! They're way delayed. Thank you. Yeah, we're coming along with it little by little. Painting up the jewelry tonight. And drinking, I only have a little bit left in here, but a little bit of the Balvenie 17 Doublewood. I'm debating making a cocktail in just a little bit. What time is it? 8:01? I could make a cocktail. Yes, it's so good, huh? It sucks though, the price has gone up. It used to be, I used to be able to get a bottle of the Balvenie 17 for like, you know, like 115, maybe 120. And now I don't think I've seen bottles for less than like 140 or 150. It's like, man. Just gotta savor them that much more, I guess. Right. Over here is kind of the underside, so I want that to be a bit darker. Oh, which one, Sariana? Because some of them are like, they're not expensive when they come out, but they'll only be like kind of a limited edition. And so once they stop making them, like that's it. Really? The Yamazaki 12? It was probably because it got like a crazy good review, right? I mean, that the Yamazaki 18 did the same thing when the guy that does the whiskey Bible gave it like best whiskey in the world or whatever, right? And it literally like doubled in price overnight. And so the only reason I have a bottle of the Yamazaki 18 is because I did some weekend work for someone at one point, and as a thank you, they're like, okay, what kind of whiskey do you want? Anything up to $500. And I was like, Yamazaki 18, because it's $500 and I'm not going to buy it for myself. And it's delicious. It's not $500 delicious. I have cheaper stuff that I would take over the 18, but it's still very good. But I'm also more partial to Scotch than I am to other whiskeys. I feel like Scotch has a little more character, you know? And I love the Japanese whiskeys. I just personally don't feel like they have as much character as the Scottish whiskeys do. You know? And it's the same thing with the American ones, you know, the bourbon and rye whiskeys and stuff. They're delicious, but I just don't feel like they have as much character. Yeah. You did hear Yamazaki 18, Navaparta. Yeah, it was half the price. You could get the 18, I think it was like $200 or $250 a bottle before it went world famous. Damn whiskey Bible. Sorry, I'm finessing the edges on this stuff right now. I'll get back to rendering here in just a minute. But, you know, at the same time, it's like, I have, there's a place down here in Hollywood. I think they also have a location in San Francisco, like Redwood City or something like that, called K&L Wine Merchants. And, you know, they're one of those places, and some of the nicer liquor stores do this, where they will do their own bottlings of stuff, right? So they'll buy a cask of some kind, and then they'll have it bottled specifically for them, right? So you'll see like Whistle Pig will do it with certain you know, liquor stores and stuff. But one of the things that K&L did was they there was some like defunct distillery in Scotland. I forget what it was called at the time. But it had gone out of business, and when they were clearing stuff, they found a cask that all they knew was that it was a single grain, and they knew the year that it was laid down. But other than that, they had lost the provenance for the cask, so they couldn't charge, you know, a normal price for the bottles. But they were like, this stuff is delicious, we're bottling it anyway. And so basically for, I think it was like $350 or something, it was a 51-year scotch. And that stuff is delicious. Of course, it's smooth as hell. At that age, like, everything's gonna be super smooth. But you know, you just can't get a 51-year anything for $350. And again, the only reason they did is because they lost the provenance for the bottle, so they literally, or for the barrel, so they could not charge a normal price for it. You know, I think I'm not gonna erase that out. I'm gonna I'll paint in those lights if I want them. Alright, let's render. Render this shit, damn it. Yeah, so it's, you know, it's worthwhile if there is a place that you like that does things like that, just to get on their mailing list. And because that's usually where they will advertise it. And oftentimes they will sell out, you know. Now, obviously, it's a matter of like, when they advertise something, do you actually have the money to spend on it? And you don't always, but so sometimes you get the newsletter and it just makes you really sad. But that's okay too. Right? We don't need all the things. But one of my favorites, I mean, I have many favorites, so that's a very loose term. But there's one that I love, which is the Glendronach 15-year tawny port, right? So it's Scotch finished in tawny port barrels. The one that got really popular was one finished in sherry barrels, but I like the tawny port one a lot more because I like tawny port a lot more than sherry. I like the flavor. Not expensive, like $75 when I got it, and I'd gotten like 2 or 3 bottles, and this was years ago. Now, because it was a limited edition, I guess, like, or it was discontinued, I don't know, they don't make it anymore. Now, like, you can find bottles online and they're like $250. Like, seriously? It's delicious, but there's no way I'm paying $250, right? And it's only that because you can't get it anymore. And that was one, when I saw it, that kind of like changed my perception of Scotch pricing, right? Whiskey pricing, alcohol pricing in general. It very much changed my perception of it. Because you can get delicious stuff that is not that expensive. You know? And then it's sad when you have something that you used to get all the time and that you would still get all the time if the price didn't go like way up, right? So, giant brush. Yeah, I have my issues with whiskey collectors too, though. I'm fine with it if they're actually drinking what they buy. But what I can't stand are the people that buy it and then just sit on it. I hate that. I don't think the distillers are happy about it either, right? Those still masters, they want people to enjoy their creations. They want people to drink what they've made, what they've spent years and years, decades perfecting. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna like break open my bottle of Lafroig 25-year all the time, but I'm also not shy about opening that when, you know, when I'm like hanging out with someone that likes that stuff, right? Because it should be enjoyed. It's the whole point. It is the whole point. It's similar, right, to the art collectors that just buy art and then just secret it away into like a warehouse or a basement somewhere, and no one ever sees it. Like, as an artist, that would bug me. I mean, I'm sure, you know, a fucking $2 million price tag cushions the blow a bit, but at the same time, when you do art, you want people to look at it and enjoy it, right? So I'd much rather someone like buy a piece and then loan it to a gallery or museum or whatever. Do museums show living artists? They don't really, right? It's galleries that do. Although some museums have actual galleries attached too, so I guess, yeah. Like the Long Beach Museum does do shows of living artists, but then they also have other stuff. All right, we're getting here. Jeez. All that work, finessing edges. All right, let's do this. Okay, I really need to consider getting a new iPad. Like, it is annoying the shit out of me. The when it warms up, the touch gets all fucking wonky toward the center of the screen, which of course is like mostly where I'm working. And the pencil works fine. It's just the touch. So, you know, panning, zooming in and out, pinching to zoom and stuff. Sometimes it won't register whichever finger is closer to the center, and then the other finger will just end up doing a paint stroke or something, and then you have to undo it and punch it in the face. Yeah, like, you know, it all depends on why you're collecting it, right? Whether it's you know, action figures or whatever. If you're collecting it to keep the value, then fine, keep it in the pack. But all right, let's start getting bit of lighting here, right? We basically have the lighting center, top down. So the iPad doesn't want to get punched in the face, then it should do what I want it to do when I want it to do it. So we're getting our shadows and stuff in here. A little darker. I do want this to be, you know, carved into. So that's a fun thing, at least with carving, is that you can use the line work in the final piece, right? You don't have to like get rid of all of it. think let's swap over to something with a bit of color shift on it. Just because I know I'm gonna want some color variation. Just think about I want the transitions between these like pedals to be softer. I don't necessarily want it to be like a super hard transition. So because then I want some stuff etched into it still. Thanks, Shadow Walk. I'm glad that is coming across already. Get I do want some color variation in here, so let's do a little bit of that. We'll kick that opacity way down, maybe not quite that far down. Right, because it's stone, and I don't want it to just feel like it's some weird, like, a weird brown stone is just kind of strange. Like, right. So I want it to feel a little more special than that. I don't want it to just be, like, carved out of, like, mud, you know? I'm gonna turn that drawing guide off, because it's annoying me. So what I want is just some color variation. I'll bring in a few different colors here. Maybe it has some like veining and stuff, or I don't know. Maybe it just kind of, when it catches the light, it has some variety. What's up, Willie? How's it going? It's been a while, huh? How have you been? Got some right on. Right on. When is your birthday? I know mine's coming up quick too. I keep forgetting. I don't even know what day my birthday is on. Okay, it's on a Tuesday. I guess we could celebrate it a day early on the Monday stream. And then let's do some more saturated warms on this. I mean, it's still a cool warm, but whatever. Oh, March 1st. Yours is right around the corner. Yeah, mine's the 16th. March 16th. And then last but not least, let's do like this. And do some, maybe some I'm trying to think of what the best way to... I feel like maybe we should focus on the lighting, because I want to do some like kind of light, you know, veining, but I think maybe that would be better done afterward, because otherwise I'm gonna have to, you know, constantly change the color. So I think let's do that after. Just looking at the colors here, you know, because we don't want like stuff to just be totally out of left field. Right, so let's grab some of these. Honestly, nothing really. You know, I mean, what can we do these days? Can't really do much. I mean, on my actual birthday, you know, I'll be working since it is a Tuesday. But don't really have anything in mind. Seeing if I want. She's got pretty warm. I mean, all things considered, right? It's not like a really warm lighting. It's like a lemon yellow. So I might go. I might play with something like that. Wow, that's not even lemon. That is like not even close to. What color are you? Oh shit. Crazy. Oh yeah, I guess because we did like overlays and stuff, which shifts the colors. Damn, I didn't think I had anything on that end of the spectrum, but that's okay if it's just in the lights. So maybe we'll bring it back over here. Off a little bit. Let's see how that looks. No, Sarah, not yet. March 16th is my birthday, but that's a Tuesday, so I figure maybe if I can think of something special to do on stream for that Monday, maybe we'll do something. No, it's Willie's birthday is on the 1st, so we got on the topic of birthdays. Willie, are you doing anything for your birthday? I know it's kind of hard to do much at all these days. On my previous birthday, really thought you know, we'd be done with this shit by now. But no. Still want the lighting to be a little cooler than that. I like the look of cool light on like a warm surface. There's just something fun about that. So we're just gonna do that, and then the highlights we can go warmer on, right? So I'm trying to think of like how this surface is gonna roll, right? So where would it catch these lights? And I want to make sure that I'm really kind of modeling this out in the proper way. You don't want to go on autopilot on this stuff and just start like treating everything the same way. It just won't, it'll flatten everything out, right? And that's the last thing we want to do right now. Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, Shadowwalk Shanti was saying Twitch was glitching out on her too. Man, Twitch, stop being a dick. Willie, do you mean like that kind of coiffed curls? Let me just refresh. I mean, obviously I know what Marilyn Monroe looks like, but let's look at her hair. Yeah. Yeah. The best way to design something like that, I think, is just do something different. No, just kidding. I'm kidding. I would say it depends on what you're working in, right? So if we look at, what do we have here? Not that brush. Let's just do something like this, right? And are you working digitally or are you working traditional? I mean, either way, you would want to, like, one, you don't want to think of the strands of hair, right? Because, like, that's never the right way to go about it with hair. Right? So if we have our, I'm just looking at a picture of her right now. Yeah. So if we have her I don't really need to like get all her features here, obviously, but just so we have a base for the hair. But I also don't mind doing a quick little portrait study. It's always fun, right? We like portraits here. Is this all on one sheet? Damn it, that's not what I want to do. But that's easy. That's actually easier. Just use white instead of erasing. Not a problem. Plus, it's been a while since we've done one of our little sidebars, right? Where we get to... I promise I'll get to the hair, because that was your question. First, let's do... Always nice to get rid of some of that stark white, so you have some room to play, hopefully. Right. Meaning, then I can bring in white and figure these forms out on multiple levels and not just black or white. Alright, hair. So, for the hair, it's gonna be all about getting those large shapes, right? Like thinking of it more in terms of like ribbons, and I'll switch brushes here to something that maybe can reflect that a little more. So like, you know, being able to, I mean, it's kind of cheating because this brush has texture like built in, but even if it didn't have the texture, it's more about the shape, right? Right now she just looks like she's straight out of the 80s, like punk rocker. But paying attention, and there are a couple ways, so we can also look at the silhouette, right? But it's like it has these crazy waves and curves, very like Art Nouveau kind of curves to it, right? So it's just sort of paying attention to those shapes and not getting caught up in the individual strands, right? You always want to treat hair in those clumps rather than getting caught up in what the individual strands are doing. So the easiest way is first to pay attention to the silhouette and then kind of get like, I mean, squint your eyes and look at it and just see what that light is doing. I'm gonna make this a little easier on myself. Right, because she has that almost white hair, so it is a little easier if we can just kind of work with some of those colors. I mean, we're in black and white right now, but you know. Okay, so in this case, we can kind of just, again, knock back the white to give ourselves room to play with. Squinting my eyes, looking at the shadows. And really for hair, we don't generally, unless it's for, you know, graphic design purposes, which can totally work, generally we don't want like a hard edge on the hair, you know? I mean, for something that's stylized like this, essentially, like, it can work, but, you know, we're better off getting kind of softer edges on the hair. Give ourselves something to play with here. I'm gonna bring the white into it. And it's crazy, in this picture it looks almost like silver. So I am a big fan of using just like flat brushes for hairstyles, like this especially, because it's essentially just like calligraphy marks just swooping around, you know. And it's fun to play with. Where I can't say what we're working on at work, but there are some similarities in the hair, just in terms of some of the swoopy, coiffed issues, you know, things that we're working with. So, it can be a lot of fun. It's just like you don't want to get caught up in all those little bits, right? Work with those big shapes. And like, especially with her, you can kind of almost think of it as like ribbons, right? Think about how a ribbon would turn around, and think of those flat kind of surfaces, you know. Now there might be a lot of little ribbons kind of happening, but I mean, our job as artists is to kind of simplify some of this stuff, right? We can use our smudge tool and soften some of those edges. Which can be also a nice way to sort of create, you know, just some different, some variety for our hair, right? Have some hard edges, have some soft edges. And stuff's fun. It's fun. And then me being a stickler and perfectionist on portraits, I'm like, it's not done yet. I know it was about the hair, but, you know, I can't help myself. I do this stuff for a living. Picky about it. I mean, I could go so far as to say it doesn't quite look like her as much as I would like, but whatever. That's okay. It's like good enough for government work, right? So we can, and it's easy enough to finesse until it does look like her. Just little things that are just a little off. Now it's getting there. Yeah, but I kind of cheated. It's the beauty mark. We all know it's her when we see the beauty mark, right? She has these cool earrings. And then with this stuff, it's all about, you know, all we have to do is put in a few little sharp details, and then it'll all kind of pop into place. And we can call it a day. Alright. Doesn't take much. Doesn't take much. Finesse is a good word of the day. I'm a fan of that word. Yeah. That works. Only thing is... It's always interesting to see like what makes it look like the person, you know? Because sometimes I'm like, no, I know everything is placed where it should be, but it's not looking like them. And sometimes it's just that like, oh, I haven't, like if they have dark hair, sometimes it's just that I haven't blocked in the dark shape of the hair. Like it's still a light shape. And it just does not look like them. And then I block in the dark shape of the hair, and it's like, oh wow, oh there they are. You know? Sometimes it's just a matter of like turning the forms correctly, and you know, if you haven't quite done that, maybe it won't quite capture the person. So you know, there are a few things involved, even when your landmarks are all placed correctly. Like there's a little more than just that. There. There. And also this needs to come out a bit more. Weird. Anyway, Willie, I hope that was helpful. I know you were asking about the hair, and I kind of just did all of it. I hope I answered your question regarding hair. Clumps, ribbons. Think clumps and ribbons. Cool. I'm glad. It's funny because I almost was gonna start the stream doing like a couple little portraits, and then I was like, no, I'm just gonna jump right into it. So, hey, I'm glad that I got to do a little portrait. So, back to our regularly scheduled program. Rendering jewelry. Hey, stop that. Stop that. She's just like clawing on the pillow and staring at me because she knows she's not supposed to. She's lucky they were not expensive pillows. To our cooler highlights, or lights, not highlights yet. It's true, Autumn. I don't really have a schedule. I pretend that I do. It's supposed to be Mondays and Thursdays, and has mostly just been Thursdays. But I am done with my extracurricular shit, so I feel like I can get back to also streaming on Mondays. Not plan on taking on more extracurricular stuff because I don't need it. I say that and then who knows, something really cool might come along. But for now, no extracurriculars. So I think I'm... Oh man. You know what I might... You know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to do this all on one layer. I don't really... I have my shapes. I don't really see... If I would need to, I can always alpha lock it, right? Which will do the same thing. It'll lock it to whichever pixels are there, right? But I want to be able to finesse the edge of it right now, because I want to be able to turn these forms. I don't want it to read as like a hard-edged thing. I want it to have some curvature to it. Why, thank you, Frosty. I probably will do just like a portrait stream sometime soon, because that shit's fun. I'll just have to kind of gather some pictures that I feel like working from. I might use... I'll probably do a combo of like some like more famous people so that people can really kind of understand the likeness a bit more, and then maybe some other stuff where it's not about famous people. For portraits though, I will say musicians usually have very cool faces, so it'd be fun to maybe paint some musicians. Let's grab a little bit of this background color, right? Because especially on something like stone, and this is going to be a bit more polished, so as it turns away from us, it gets more reflective, right? You can see that on like glass bottles and things like that. As they turn away, that angle of reflection, as it gets more acute, it becomes more direct. So or more pronounced. Not that much. So I want to. I'm just bringing in a bit of that. Did I alpha lock this? I did not. Okay, good. Whoa. Whoa, giant. You followed Joro Bogani. Thanks for the follow, Joro. I appreciate it. We all like art too. Now with the rounded form, you don't want to do too soft of an edge, right? It's still a hard form. it just rounded edges. So, you know, we always want to kind of keep that in mind. We don't want to like go super soft on these edges, but a little bit of that is fine. A little softness as those forms roll away. I'm just catching some of the lights. I don't want as much down here because it's not directly facing the light, but I do want some. And realistically, like, we've already kind of established that there is a lot of light bouncing around in this image, right? Like, we have a lot of light. This is going to be a very luminous image, you know. So, so kind of hinting at some of these. I'm trying to think of like, because I'd like to do a bit of back and forth, a little push and pull. So sort of trying to think of like the next step of layering that I want to do on this, what that might be. I mean, for our very next step, I think we need to pour a little bit more scotch for ourselves. Balvenie 17, double wood. Now, I did say before I prefer tawny port to sherry. However, the double wood is finished in sherry casks. So it goes from American oak casks to European sherry casks. Thus, it's called double wood. I should say American oak casks to European oak sherry casks. So it takes on a little bit of the character of the sherry, a little bit of that sweetness. And it is delicious. If we do have light bouncing around here, right, might be worth thinking about, you know, are there other light sources, kind of, even if they're far away, right, or weak, right, but there could be something behind us. So we could even catch a little bit of that if we wanted to, right? Zoom out a little. Like we definitely need to catch some more. I don't want these things to be super sharp, but they are going to a bit of a point, so that is going to catch some specular in some way. But then it can fan out, like if that tapers down to a point, right? Then it can fan out and get softer as it goes back to the broader shape. So we're catching a bit more, I don't know, some kind of bounce light maybe. Right, always thinking about our five lights, right? 5 types of light. Our lights, midtones, darks, reflected lights, and accents. Accents being highlights and low darks. That those have corners and they would also need to catch lights, but I don't actually want them to have real corners. They'll still catch some, so I'll have to kind of get into the troughs there. No, there are only 5 lights, Paradox. Not 6. We have no room for Bud Light. No Bud Lights, no Coors Lights. So we're starting to get a, you know, more of a sense of the form here. And when I do get into the actual highlights, like the specular highlights, which, remember, those are just a reflection of the light source, right? That's what a specular highlight is. So those little blings on noses and in eyes and stuff like that, those are all just reflections of the light source. But a very nice way to kind of bring in some crisp details like we did on the face, right? On Marilyn Monroe. And they can go a long way toward just like sharpening things up, making it feel more detailed than it might actually be. And you know me, I'm all about implied detail. If I don't actually have to do all the detail work, I'm happy. I say that as I'm currently like making this fairly detailed, but you know, you don't have to. Like, we could go even more painterly with this if we wanted. But I really do love material rendering. I don't know where that came from. I used to hate that shit. I really just didn't like getting into it. But somewhere along the lines, I began to enjoy it quite a bit. So I think what it was is that I had to do it, like, especially when I was first getting into working as a sketch artist and illustrator and advertising. You know, there were just some assignments where I ended up having to render some materials, and I found out I was actually pretty good at it. And that made it a lot more fun when I realized, oh, I actually kind of know what I'm doing. You know? And if I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing, I know I can figure it out. So that made a big difference for me. But only up to a certain point. There's a point where it's like rendering to me is kind of just, it's just a matter of zooming in more and more and more. And after a certain point, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to zoom in anymore. That's just stupid. Like, that's all I think of when I think of rendering, is just like different levels of zooming in. And how far do you want to zoom in to detail the fuck out of something? If this was a more complex piece, I would not worry so much about rendering things like this, right? If it had more going on. But it's a relatively simple piece, and I want that. I want it to, like, I want that simplicity. I want people to kind of look at it and be able to maybe sort of come up with their own kind of stories. And you know, I'm thinking of her as like a water and earth elemental, but you know, it might resonate with someone else in a completely different way, and I'm super down with that. All right, Willie, you have a good one, man. Thanks for hopping on. Thanks for giving us that little sidebar with dear Marilyn. That was fun. I appreciate it. I guess I've been doing a lot of traditional streaming, so it's a little harder than for people to ask, like, oh, how do I do this? And, you know, be able to just like really quickly show. It's one of the benefits of streaming digitally. You can do that stuff. It's fun. Let's. I want to amp up some of the. some of the shadows down here. I don't want to go too crazy with them, but I want some of them to be a little more pronounced. Although I don't mind it being a little less so. Right? It could allude to, I don't know, more wear and tear. If this stuff is more subtle, been worn down, eroded over time or something. Right. Combo here of a little bit of dark. Right, subtle. I don't want it to be like super abrupt things between the petals. I want it to be subtler transition. A little bit of heavier darks to add to the specularity. Thanks, Shadow Walk. I enjoy giving them. Then we will do some, I still kind of want to mess with the light veins, so let's try this. Clipping mask, and let's do soft light. Digital trickery to the rescue. Do some cool veins and see if we can make this work. I think we can. So clipping mask and a soft light layer will give us the look that we need for some of the veining in the stone. Right. And then we'll do a layer on top where we'll hit the little specular highlights, bling it out a little bit. Go a little bit lighter on some of these. Variety, right? Cool. I like that. It's not overpowering, you know. I don't want it to like call attention like crazy. I don't want it to distract. I just want it to feel like a more natural kind of stone. I'm gonna erase some. Whoa, why did I do that? I'm gonna erase some in the cracks there because it lightened up some of the grooves. A little too much. Weird. Highlights. That's a good opportunity to pull. Perfect. I don't know if we'll go that hot with the highlights. I don't mind the idea that maybe there's some fall off on the light. So might not just keep our opacity down a little bit and see what we come up with. And the brush is a wet mixer brush, so it's gonna blend with whatever's underneath, right? So it's not gonna be that perfect, that super light, you know, green. And we have the opacity kicked down, so just to be able to control it a bit more. And what I might also do is I might like hint at little scratches and nicks and things like that. Just to give it even more of a sense of age. I'm liking the wet brush. My only issue with it right now is that it's softening. You can see like some of those edges are softer than I would like in comparison, you know, to some of these, which have some of these edges are much sharper in terms of the little filigree work. Right. So if I think about that in comparison, I don't want it to feel so different. So I'm gonna switch my, which one is this? It's basically the same. I mean, I'm also zoomed in at like 200% or something. So that'll do it too. But still. Let's grab the charcoal. Man, I'm trying to remember like what I actually used for those little for those little marks, and I can't remember. Maybe it was that one. I don't know. Fuck it. Use this. Yeah, that looks about right. Okay, cool. I'm not going crazy. At least I don't think. It might be. I'll definitely have to probably like find some decent reference for the stones on the side, because they're, you know, if not clear, they are at least transparent, and so I might have them more like just a little bit cloudy, a little slight opalescence. Like the louche when you add water to absinthe. So this is where I can get a little irregular too, right? In some of the edges on the carving, like give it more of a handmade feel, where maybe it's not totally perfect, even though like a really good artisan would make it very perfect, but whatever. Chop Beats, thanks for the follow. Welcome the gang. Thank you. Yeah, just working on this one little portion of this piece. But you know what? Sometimes you just gotta render the shit out of stuff. Although I should be careful not to render it more than what the face is rendered. But I already kind of figured I'd have to go back to the face at some point and maybe finesse it a little more, because this is getting pretty rendered. Let's say we do the highlights and move on. That's fair. That's fair. I know. I mean, there are times where, you know, it's always good to struggle through to see if like you can fix what you have, because we learn so much doing that. But there are times where you have to just say, you know what, this isn't working, and to fix it would take more work than just doing it all over again. The worst is at work when that's the case, when like we need to do a revision on something, and then I look at it and I'm like, fuck, you know what, it would be quicker to just start from scratch rather than trying to change the existing piece. Right. Especially when you're talking about figures, you start tweaking stuff and then the poses don't quite work, they start looking stiff because the original gesture maybe doesn't quite support the changes. So then you're just like, nope, gotta redo it. Got to redo it. Cool. Yeah, I think though, Shadow Walk, that's just mostly a question of mileage. You know, as you do it more and you start to develop your own process, and you start to kind of understand how it is that you see and how you analyze form, meaning light and surfaces and all that stuff. Then that's where the consistency kind of comes in. But you know, a lot of mileage goes in before that. One way to kind of alleviate some of that is sticking to like one or two brushes and doing everything with just like a couple of brushes, so that at least the marks that the brush lays down are consistent, right? At least those are consistent from environment to figure. And it's a good idea to use only a couple of brushes anyway, and like do studies just using those, so you can figure out how to use them and how it is that you can kind of render materials and stuff. Cool. I like that thing. I like. Trying to think of what color I want the darks. Like if that choker thing, it's not really a choker, it's a little looser than that, but you know, if that's more of a silver, it can still be kind of a warm silver, but I don't want the shadows to be too crazy. Let's still go with like kind of warmish shadows maybe. I'm just looking at what we have here. We can tie it in. Maybe we use that as a shadow base. I think that can work. Might be a little cool. Let's split the difference. It's also a little hotter than I want. So bring back our drawing guide here just so we can see where our center line is. These are just going to be rivets here. Lock you. Else Dragoon, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm hoping. I mean, I'm definitely not going to finish this up tonight, but I'm hoping I won't spend too much longer. I might try and finish it up off stream on Saturday just to move it along and move on to the next piece. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm having fun rendering materials, so can't complain. Let's do this. Let's first do some... Whoa, giant. Softer transitions here. This is Procreate. No, not just a necklace. I kind of, in my head, this is like a water and earth elemental. So I'm gonna get, I did just really quick, this was just a placeholder doodle. I actually want to get like water droplets. Not necessarily tears, but sort of. Like, so I'm gonna get water droplets like floating in the air as well. But that was just a little thing to jot down some notes. So, because I'd like to do a companion piece. If this is water and earth, I want to do one that's fire and air. I just don't know what that's going to be yet. They could be rage tears. Let's look at this really quick. Always little things to fix, right? But that's okay. Oh, not with that brush. Wrong brush. Too big. Come on, let's do this right. Okay. Okay. Damn, nothing but water droplets for 2 weeks, huh? Yeah, that sounds a little overkill, maybe. I mean, there's got to be a reason, right? Why are they spending so long painting water droplets? I mean, don't get me wrong, water droplets are super fun to paint, but like, come on, in context, I don't want to just paint water droplets for the sake of water droplets. But, you know, props to anyone who does, because I wouldn't have the patience for that. Alright. Trying to think of how I want to handle this, and it seems like the large materials first, right? It's a good way to do it. Like, alpha lock you again. Why is that being really annoying? Okay, I see. So are they doing, is it someone that's like, they're casting water spells, but is it like super rendered water spells? Because yeah, that would take forever. Shadow Walk, what do I do? You know, I will block in the background. Like, I'll block in the whole thing, and then usually I'll just put flats behind the line work for the characters, right? And then I will, then I'll paint up the background, because I'm a character person. I love painting characters. So I know if I finish the characters, I'm probably not really gonna want to go and paint the background then. Plus the background influences the lighting so much that I find it a little easier to really figure out lighting if I've painted up the background, and then I can get into the figures and you know, do whatever I need to do with the lighting situation on them. So I do tend to like, I'll draw the whole thing, and then I'll usually hit the background, and then the figures. That's usually my process. Like a good example, and let's see if we have, I think this one has the whole process, but I'm not sure. Might be in a previous file. but we'll see. Is that gonna load? This one might not even have a time lapse. Oh, yeah, it does. Oh, whee! Alright, so... Right, so let's back up. I had my little thumbnail, right? This was a little thumbnail done in my sketchbook. I think I just snapped a photo and brought it into Procreate. Broke it up. It's figuring out the characters, detailing them, right? Oh, little sidebar. Someone was asking. I don't remember what they were asking, but I was explaining it. Finishing the characters. I was trying to figure out, I was like, I don't know if I'm feeling her too much, so maybe I'll try a different pose for her, and I tried all different things, and I was like, nope. All it was like her expression needed to change, so that she looked like she was having a little more fun. Then we got to Quinn here. Whee! Line work. Flats, right? So this is what I was talking about. Flats. Finessing those flats. And now we get into background. Right? So just painting up that background, right? Because obviously, like, that lighting is gonna highly affect the characters, right? So I'll usually take the background to a certain place, and then I'll go to the characters, because the characters are going to be the highest point of detail, right? And so that's something to keep in mind, at least in my case. So that's something I have to bear in mind. So as I'm doing that, then we go to the next one, paint her up. Then the third one. Paint her up, right? And this establishes, okay, they are the highest point of detail. Nothing in the background is going to be as detailed as them. So now that gives me a barometer, kind of, you know, a gauge of how far to go with the background. So yes, of course, I want to populate the city, windows, blah blah blah, little lights and all that shit, but I don't want to go overboard with how detailed that stuff might be. Right. And then little glowy, rainy things to finalize it. Right. So if we look at this, the characters are detailed. There's, you know, battle wear and tear on them, little scratches and things, but look at that background. I indicated the shit out of that. You know, like, as detailed as the characters are, I don't want that background to compete. So, like, super loose and indicated, but, you know, we go out on it and it gives the impression that I want it to give. So yeah. So that tends to be my strategy, right? Pretty sure is the same, more or less same methodologies with this one. Once it loads. I love that you see me using, I think, the same template, which is why you saw the elf girls pop in for a hot second. But similar thing, you know, just doing a bit of the drawing Um, figuring it out, then we go detailed with the line drawing, knowing that a little bit of that will show through at the end, right? And then, yeah, basically this one I just started painting mostly back to front. You know, wanting to keep a lot of air in that background. But at a certain point, I'm like, okay, I gotta block them out so that I understand that they are a darker mass, because otherwise, like, prior to that, I just can't gauge the values properly until I have those darker values and darker masses in there to understand how that light is gonna bleed around. So, finessing there. Oh, here we go, doing the lily pads, right? So quickest way, do it flat, then just use the distortion option to lay it down in perspective. And then just alpha locking the layer to lay in different colors and shit on it. You know, then again, knowing that the foreground parts are going to be dark, and I need those dark values because that's going to make the background feel even lighter, right? So knowing that, sometimes you got to bounce around a little bit. But I also knew I was going to have a lot of light bleed coming in that was going to cover stuff that I didn't necessarily need to paint. So that's why I was like, all right, I'm gonna get some of that stuff in there to understand then, like, how detailed do I really need to go in the background, right? So here's our light bleed starting to come in. Right, so now I do. You can see the mountains and stuff in the background. I start to detail them out a little bit more. Right. Oh, and then I killed all the detail. Finessing. Lighting. We'll bring back our light bleed pretty quick here. Rim lights, because you got to. There's our, you know, that light really like bleeding around the edges, creating those halos, those warm halos. So, yeah. Process. Yeah, you know, rendering is like, I feel like rendering is deceptively simple. I mean, let's look at some of this stuff. You know, I mean, you still see a lot of the line work in there. It really is about. I mean, there are two ways to do rendering, right? One, you can detail the shit out of everything. I don't like to do that. I prefer to see, like, what's the minimum amount of detail I can do that still, like, absolutely makes it feel like that thing, you know? So that's where one of the things that really kind of, like, tightens this up are all those little hairs, the whiskers, the little flyaways. Whoops, let's not paint on it. You know, the little flyaways on the wing tufts and all over on him. But I mean, look how simple those trees are. You know, it's more about graphic design. You know, and even with her, there's not a whole lot going on. a lot of this stuff, it's more just about giving the impression rather than really, you know, like I'm not going to get into every single leaf. But if you want to simplify rendering, if you want it to be kind of that bare minimum, then it's mostly about catching the details in the midtones, right? That's where the most amount of detail is captured. So you can simplify the lights and simplify the darks if you just kind of like capture the details in those midtones. You know, so like the character rendering is a good place to kind of see some of that stuff. There are areas where I try and keep it really simple, and then other areas, you know, like the textiles, it's fun to get into that stuff and make it feel like there's a bit more culture going on, you know, in these textiles. So like something like this is a bit more detailed, but at the same time, there's a lot of indication, you know, happening, where I do my best to just kind of make it look like it's something, even if I don't really know what it is. So I wish I could show the mermaids, but you know, boobies are not safe for stream. Yeah, so on the characters, I'll tend to maybe render out a bit more just because there's nothing else going on, right? It is about showing the characters, so I will get more into all the facets of it. But you can see I started it from a watercolor piece that I had done, so I just kept the watercolor in the background. It's like, why not? So, yeah, I feel like that, you know, there are different ways that we can render. In the case of like what we're doing right now, I'm going more detailed, but here's one where like it gives the impression that I want. It gives the impression of like a cold day, this traveler out in the forest, you know, he's found this map stone and he's trying to make heads or tails of where the hell he is. And there's just enough indication of materials for us to know what it all is, but I mean, very, very loose. Very loose. Because I wanted it to be about mood, not about describing explicitly every single detail, right? I mean, the tightest I went was on his face, by far. Actually, looks like my friend John Paul. But the rest of it is just like really painterly and loose. You know, so it's just about like if we can understand the few core things that make something look like that thing, like what is the bare minimum to make these look like puddles, right? And alluding to maybe some kind of tracks, maybe wagons come through here every now and then or something, but just like the bare minimum to make it look like that thing. Because more than that, and oftentimes it's overkill, right? Especially if we're talking about storytelling. We don't want to go overboard. Sometimes we do, just from the standpoint of like, hey, it's fun to render, you know? But other times it's more about just like, you know, what's the bare minimum for indication, you know? I mean, again, that it's not super detailed. It's just getting the right balance of some warms and cools. My idea is that like her father is a wood carver, he makes furniture and things like that, and it was a portrait he had done of her mother, you know, carved out of wood. But you know, again, it's just kind of like with some lights and midtones and just a few key details, we can make it feel, you know, a bit more detailed than it really is, right? And that's usually what my goal is. Some people love to render the shit out of stuff, and clearly right now I am kind of rendering the shit out of stuff. Within reason, though, because there's not much going on in this, so I feel like the materials are gonna kind of be everything. So, you know, gotta pay attention to it. That is such a good question, Shadowwalk. As soon as I can get back to writing, then I can, you know, dig back into writing my novel, one of my novels. Honestly, I was mostly like having to just knock some stuff out of the way. You know, had some extracurricular things, like outside of work, that I had to take care of. But they are taken care of, which I'm very, very happy about. So now I can actually like get back to managing my personal time for myself. And hopefully getting back to some of that writing. And maybe we'll finally be able to get some stories done. I have a short story in my book, in my art book. That's about the closest I've got. My pleasure, Else Dragoon. I enjoy the little detours. It's also helpful sometimes to like just put something away for a minute, you know? And that's where those little detours kind of come in handy. Take the alpha lock off for a hot minute because we need these bits to match up at least a little. Cool. I don't know how much longer I will go. We've been up for about 3 hours, but we'll do a little bit more. I just realized Nightbot has not been doing its job, has it? Nightbot slacker. Alright, so all the links, you'll see at the top of that link tree, you can order my art book, which I can't really show on stream because it's not TOS friendly, but I can give you at least a little teaser. If I cover, there's the slipcase with our gold, trying to get it a little less light. It just wants to focus on me. A little less light. Ooh, look at that gold print. And it's backwards. I think I've flipped the camera. So let's where's my transform? Oh. Come back, transform. There. You gonna focus? There we go. So that's the slipcase. And there's the cover. Also gold and magenta foil. art book. This is 366 pages of art. We're gonna do super quick. Just like nothing but art in here for the most part. Until we get to where are you at? Dakota. So in the back of the book, let's see if it'll focus. We've got Dakota, and then a short story, which in a book would be about a 20-page short story, I think. Something like that, 15, 20 pages. So, yeah. Teaser. That's right, Shadowwalk, you have my book. You got my book. I might do a flip through on Discord at some point, because I know I can do it there and not worry about getting dinged for showing nudity. But Twitch doesn't like nudity, so that pretty much, you know, it's like can't show like 3/4 of the book. Damn you, Twitch. Who doesn't like naked elves? Come on. So right now on this necklace, I'm focusing on the overall shape, right? Because everything else is just surface detail. So we don't really need to like focus on a lot of that stuff just yet. It's kind of more I want to get the overall shape and the material kind of working in an interesting way, right? Yeah, Else Dragoon, they're like, yeah, super strict about it. And it's so lame because it shouldn't matter in art. Like, I get if they don't want sexual nudity in art. Like, that's fine, I get it. But even, you can't even do academic nudity in art on Twitch. Because they claim they don't know how to... They're not sure yet how to separate that from, you know, regular nudity. And I'm like, you just say in the TOS guidelines that, you know, non-sexual nudity in art is okay. It's that simple. But they just, they keep saying, we're trying to figure it out. I'm like, cool. 5 years later, you guys still haven't figured it out. Like, come on. You're telling me in like half hour, someone can't just like figure out the wording for that little clause? stupid. Alright. Cooler. Yeah. But actually, I don't think that Twitch uses bots for that stuff. They actually have like Twitch mods that will go through. So, which is why, like, especially people that have smaller streams can actually get away with stuff for a while until they happen to get caught. One thing with the metallics is, so depending on what kind of surface we want, right? You know, it can be a little more like brushed metal, in which case all the reflective stuff will be much softer, right? But if we want it to be more kind of polished, then we need to get some of those harder edges on it. On some of the sort of reflective aspects. And it can be a fun time, I think, to play, a fun opportunity to play with the surface a little bit, right? Because, like, it's a very different look if I have, you know, these kind of wavy sort of reflective lines versus if I had it just like straight, right? Now that makes it look like it is a perfect surface. But if I want it to feel a little more, you know, handmade, a little more organic, then I don't necessarily want it to be super, super perfect, right? I want some of that kind of, I don't think I actually wanted that light over there, but you get my point. You get the point. Right, and then of course as it turns away, just like it would with glass, it'll get a bit more reflective. The angle of reflection is more acute. All right, Else Dragoon, thanks for hanging out. I probably won't be on for too much longer either. I'm like trying to keep somewhat of a normal schedule. I hear ya. I hear ya, Shadowwalk. Kind of a school night for me too, as I do have to work in the morning. And we're getting raided. Noel M. Brooks. Welcome, Raiders. Welcome, welcome. How are y'all doing tonight on this fine Thursday? We are currently rendering up some jewelry as part of this piece here. My idea is like a water and earth elemental. So I have no idea where it's going to end up. I have a little bit of an idea, but we'll see. We'll see. Noel M. Brooks, how are you doing? And how was your stream? Well, thank you for bringing your people over here. Right on. I know you got a book. If there's anything you want to share, please feel free. Drop some links. If you have, if you were doing some art, you can share that. If you have socials, you can share those. Sweet. Wait, the page is loading, but the art isn't loading. Where's the art? Ooh, I like pixel art. Autumn does pixel art. Oh, maybe it's... Oh, because I'm viewing it in Chrome, is that why? I'm trying to think if I even have another browser on my computer right now. I don't know if I do. Oh no. Do you have any social media anywhere? Insta or Twitter or... Sweet. Cool. Because we know Instagram loads. Oh, right on. Well, that stuff's tight. In every way, it's cool and it's very tight. Like, very detailed. That's super rad. So, animals, huh? Right on. Dude, those are great. Yeah, that's cool stuff. Hell yeah. Right on. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Sorry, just saying good night to girlfriend. Okay. Yeah, right on. Right on. Well, I won't keep you if you've got a jet or if you're turning in. I know I'm probably gonna turn in fairly soon myself. But I very much appreciate the raid and you bringing your homies over this way. Super rad. for anyone that's new here, maybe that came over on the raid, I work as a sketch artist and illustrator in advertising. So working on key art for film and TV and video games. That's what I do in my day job. And outside of the day job, I kind of do whatever tickles my fancy. So in this case, creating an image, hopefully that I'll turn into an NFT. Maybe it'll go somewhere, maybe it won't. You never know. All we can do is try, right? Mostly just trying to get this feeling a little more metallic right now. I'm not getting into like the crazy details of it just yet. I just want the surface to kind of feel more metallic, and also considering that, like, okay, I want this to be, honestly, I don't know what kind of metal. It could be silver, right? Maybe it's like pure silver, so like I don't mind it having a bit of tarnish, maybe, because I love the look of tarnished silver. It just looks so cool. Get rid of some of these marks here. Smudge tool. These are our friends. I was just looking at kind of the black around, or the at least the darks around some of these shapes, and I was like, oh hey, that looks kind of like it's tarnished. And I do love that look, so I think we might kind of run with that a bit. But like, I don't want it to have a chrome kind of a look, right? I don't want it to be like super perfectly highly reflective. Edges. the texture of that brush to our advantage. Yeah, get a little bit more kind of gritty, irregular texture in there. The nice thing is with Procreate is that kind of built in, you know, as you tilt, essentially the flow of the brush gets kicked down and the texture comes out, right? So there's way less flow the more you tilt. And if you have a nice texture on the brush, then you can use that to your advantage. Use our smudge tool to kind of, knock that stuff around a little bit. You don't want it to look like perfect brush marks necessarily. Those jewels will be fun to get into, though, I think. Just looking at them, I think it'll be a nice contrast, right? Because they'll be like polished stone, but like translucent or, you know, possibly clear, which will just be a nice kind of like variation of texture from the other stuff so far. So that'll be fun. But we're not getting into those tonight. In fact, I think I'm probably gonna call it here pretty soon. I think. Yeah, I think we might call it here. Let's see our progress so far. Where did I start? Just started with a little sketchy sketch. And then then at some point I was like, oh, I have to actually center this up because it's the only thing in this composition. We got into the filigree, right? Colors, that kind of iridescence. And then we got into our necklace here. Figuring that one out. Color. Oh, and then we got into where'd she just go? A Marilyn Monroe portrait. Randomly, because someone asked how I would paint her hair. So we did a little Marilyn Monroe portrait. Real quick. Because portraits are fun. And then back to our regular scheduled program. Alright, painting up that. And then getting into this. Weird. Viscera, what's up? You're late to the party. I'm about to call it. Because I gotta get ready for bed. But we've been painting up the necklace on this piece. Let me turn that grid off for now. Little by little today. Right. That's mostly what we've done. That and this portrait of Marilyn. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm glad you could watch that too. And I will, export it to YouTube. You can always watch the VOD if you want. If you want to see me render out jewelry, which is fun. Materials rendering is fun, I gotta say. I have no complaints. Hell yeah, my pleasure, man. I'm glad that people enjoy them. Seriously, I've gotten a lot of good feedback from people saying that they really, really appreciate those VODs, and that I do export them out to YouTube so that they stay up. So I'm very glad that people enjoy them and get something out of them. But yeah, I do gotta call it Otherwise, I'll get my second wind, and then I won't be able to go to sleep, and that's not good. Just little things so that I remember for when I come back. Word. All right, Viscera. Glad you could pop by, and thank you to everyone that hung out. I don't know if there's anyone to raid. I can't do a raid right now. I can't. Maybe I can. No, I gotta call it. Monday, we will raid someone. Right? It's Thursday today? Yeah, it's Thursday. All right. Good night, my friends. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. Thanks to everyone that asked questions. Always a good time. Love answering that stuff. So I will be back Monday. I promise I will be back Monday night, 7 p.m. Pacific time, right here. And I'll see y'all then. All right? All right, my friends. Peace. Peace out.